Okay, I am going to get us started, and I want to first of all tell you guys thank you so very much for coming on this webinar this morning. I am very excited to share this with you. This is a talk that I've been doing since this time last year. I created this talk last November.
Muted. Unmuted.
Calling in from right now. It is a whopping 10 degrees in Denver, Colorado.
Excuse me, Carey. I found a way to mute. It is on the right-hand side where it says freeconferencecall.com, where the gray bar and the flag on the left. On the far right is a microphone, and if you click on the microphone, then it will mute.
Perfect. Thank you. I want to, again, thank you guys for coming on. I want to apologize to you that I am not able
Muted.
to bring with you right now. When I got on 15 minutes ago to boot up the PowerPoint, for some reason when the PowerPoint came up, it did something with my little computer and told it to update itself. So I can't get the screen in front of you, but I promise you guys I am very good at doing this without it. And if you have paper in front of you, take some notes. And I will make this just as engaging as if you had a screen in front of you. Sound good? All right. All right. Kelly, you can still hear me, correct?
Yes, Carey, I can still hear you. We are good to go. And we still have people dialing in.
Perfect. All right. So here's the deal, you guys. So we are now wrapping up the year 2016. And I know for most of us, we are starting to reflect on the year and look back and wonder, where did this year go? And a lot of us, I'm sure, last January set some very big, hairy, audacious goals. And most of the audiences that I've been in front of live, when I've asked them this question, do they feel like they hit all their goals this year, there are very few hands that go up. And most especially when I ask the question, did you make all of the money that you intended to make this year? What I usually get at that point is no hands go up and a lot of chuckling happens in the room. And what I mean by that is that a lot of people, because they feel like they haven't hit their goals, are feeling like they failed and they're ready to throw up their hands and call it a day, call it a year, and shut down and say, I'm going to put the switch back on in January. And the first thing I want to tell you guys is that I have built two very successful businesses, one in network marketing with a company called Arbonne, and I'm sure most of you are familiar with it, and another company I now run called Infinite Nation. And what I know is that what it comes down to is that the 2 to 3% of the population that hit their goals, make six figures and beyond, actually end up growing million-dollar businesses, they are the people that right now are still working. They still have goals. They maybe have adjusted it from the beginning of the year to a different goal than what it is right now. But the fact remains that they still have a target and something they are working towards hitting all the way up until midnight on New Year's Eve. And here's why I know this works, you guys. My background is that I stepped into being an entrepreneur 23 years ago. And my first ride into that, like I mentioned, was with Arbonne. At that point, you guys, I was working in a corporate job, and I had two small babies at home, and my big drive was to be able to quit my job, work from home, and be able to raise my kids and make really awesome income. And so I stepped into Arbonne in September of 1993, and with full-on intention that I was going to go all the way to the top of the company. I did not go into the company thinking that I was going to be a product person. I came into the company setting my sights on being a VP and a leader. And so because of that, I reached the first level in Arbonne within the first 3 months and went all the way to the top ranking. I was a national vice president, earned well into a six-figure income, over 15 trips with the company and several Mercedes-Benz. And the one thing that happens in Arbonne every single year, and still happens now, is that they set a trip incentive every year, and the trip incentive starts on December 1st. Very smart of the company to do this, you guys, because most people on December 1st decide to, like I said earlier, just, ride through the holidays and say to themselves, hey, it's the holidays, nobody's around, it's okay for me to take some time off. And that, again, is 97% of the population, 98% in network marketing. And so what Armand does on December 1st is set the trip incentive and double the points of whatever you do in the month of December. So I was very motivated for these trips, you guys. I earned them every year for my family, and I had 2 little people who were expecting me to earn the trip. So I blew it out every December. I maxed the amount of points that I could earn because Armand would match it. So I would go into the year well into having earned this trip. You guys, the worst thing you can do right now is have that mindset that it's all going to be okay, and that when you come up for air on January 1st, you can flip the switch. What I know is when you take your foot off the gas in anything in life, whether it's your business, your personal goals, physical fitness is a really good example of that, you guys. You don't just pick up the ball and run with it. It takes 90 days to ramp that momentum back up. All right, so that's the first thing I wanted to tell you guys. The reason I do this is to inspire you to keep going until whatever the downtime is for you that hits. And for me, it was midnight on New Year's Eve when Arvon would shut the phones off, and I knew I could no longer do what I could do. I want you guys to know that we're going to be working on 5 points on this call today using the word focus. I'm going to talk about the 5 things that you need to do right now to make sure that you do win this year well, but most especially that you start 2017 hitting all your goals for the year. And at the end of this call, I want you to know that I have 3 big bonuses to offer you, so that I hope you will stay on until the very end. All right, so let's talk about the word focus. When I'm, again, in front of a large group of people, which I'm doing a lot right now, I ask people if one of their things that they have struggled with this year is having a hard time staying focused. I usually get 100% of the hands go up in the room that they are struggling with focus, have a serious problem going on with not being able to stay on one task, having too many ideas going on at once, too much on their calendar, they're ping-ponging all over the place, and they aren't able to stay in a straight line. And working with the entrepreneurs that I do on a regular basis, you guys, this is probably the #1 distraction that's going on in their life and their business. And I have a huge event coming up in January that I will talk about again at the end of this call, that we're going to be talking all about this distraction epidemic we've got going on. It's costing you so much, not only emotional angst, you guys, but it's financially costing you a lot of money. All right? So we're going to use the word focus, and I'm going to start with F. So the first thing you need to do is forget the past and flush out any wishy-washy words or intentions you've got going on. So many times, you guys, we use the past as a stopping point. And it really doesn't matter what's happened at this point in your life or in your business. If you are dragging negativity or bad experiences around and using it as the reason why you can't move forward, it is absolutely keeping you stuck. Now, there are a lot of things that we can learn from in our past, and the best thing you can do is take it and learn from it and decide whether it's a good thing you learned or maybe not such a great thing that happened and you just let it go. Truly, you guys, so many of us are carrying around great big, like Santa backpacks, all this stuff that is in the past, and it can't be dragged into the future, especially into the new year, if you intend to make some serious breakthroughs with your business and your personal life. And we have to absolutely flush out any wishy-washy intentions, wishy-washy words, and these are the words I'm talking about. I'm trying, I'm hoping, someday, which is my all-time favorite when people tell me, yeah, someday I'm going to work on that, or someday I'm going to get to that event, someday I'm going to put my business plan down on paper. You guys, someday doesn't exist. And I have a family full of people who say someday, and they aren't moving. All right? I've had so many things happen in my life, you guys, that has just made me so aware that we have today and tomorrow is not guaranteed. So if you really intend to make this next year intentional, focused, moving forward, you've got to, first of all, forget the past and flush out all the wishy-washy. And here's the other part of that stuff that I want to talk about. Stop telling your stories. We all have stories of what has happened and why we aren't at the place that we thought we would be right now in life and in our business. Nobody wants to hear it. And the more you tell it, the more you focus on it. And you get 100% of what you focus on every day, you guys. I'm sure that you all know that. So no matter what's going on inside your head, which a lot of times is not great stuff because we can just really be our worst enemy of what our thoughts are. But especially if those words keep coming out of your mouth, you are sealing the deal of your fate, you guys, every time you tell a story. All right? And quite frankly, we are all such self-absorbed human beings that nobody really wants to hear your story, so stop telling it. Decide right now to do or not do. Again, get rid of the word try. The moment you make a decision to go all in on something, you guys, all sorts of crazy things happen and come up alongside you to make it happen. Okay, so let's talk about the O. You need to operate your business daily as a business and not as a hobby. This is something that I've been talking a lot about with all my entrepreneurs over the past year. When I ask them to talk to me about their daily activities, their monthly goals, their quarterly financial targets they're reaching for, most times they can't show me what they're reaching for on paper, which tells me they are running a really expensive hobby. And seriously, you guys, 98% of the people that I talk to about their business, I was at a big event last night, sitting at dinner with a couple of people, and they've been watching me, following me on Facebook, saying, I love everything you're talking about. And they really started to start telling me their stories. And the very first question I asked them is, what was your income target for the year? And more times than not, what people give me is kind of a blank stare, number one. And number two, if they give me a number, I can tell that they are making up the number off the top of their head. All right? Hobbies, you guys, are businesses where you kind of wing it. You kind of go with the flow, and you say to me or somebody else that, well, I would really maybe like to see this number.
Unmuted.
Tells me you're making up something off the top of your head.
Excuse me, Carey. Carey, could you tell us what your story is? Your story?
You know what?
Muted.
That so I can keep going on with where I'm at right now. But thank you. I will go back. All right. Good enough?
Unmuted.
Yes. Yes, I just muted it. Yes.
Muted.
If you guys have a piece of paper in front of you, what I'd like you to do is write the target income that you have for this time next year. And please don't just make up a number off the top of your head. If you don't know what that number is, you guys, and a lot of times entrepreneurs don't. A really good thing for you to be doing during this time of year is you've got to get really clear on what your income is and what you need to be making in the bank. Not what your gross revenue of running your business is, money in the bank that you need to live the lifestyle that you intend to create. You've got to know what that number is. So a lot of times what I ask people to do is, okay, tell me that number. And let's say the number is $50,000 net income. If you are a solopreneur, entrepreneur, you don't have a brick and mortar business, which most of us are on the line, we are maybe entrepreneurs that are operating by ourselves or maybe with one or two employees or contractors that are helping us build the business, you can expect to add on another 30 to 40% onto the net income, and that should be your gross revenue. But let's say the net income is $50,000. If I were to take you down in front of me and all the way down into where we're starting with right now and ask you, are you hitting that target? More times than not, of course, people tell me no, there's a great big gap between the income goal and where they are now. And the next thing you have to do, you guys, is then take that income target and break it down into quarterly, 90 days, intentional income-producing activity. And a lot of times, again, people can't do that because they really don't know what the income-producing activity is. The key to this thing, you guys, is that you can't wing it. Most of you are, most of us are looking at businesses that are just kind of seeing how it goes. They're expecting that it will all just organically come together because we're out running around town doing a lot of networking and a lot of phone calling and a lot of busy work, and they don't really know the difference between income-producing activity and busyness. All right, so you've got to get really clear on what those things are. And once you know what they are, you guys, you have to be consistent. I hope that you guys know who Darren Hardy is. Darren Hardy was the editor-in-chief of Success Magazine for 10 years. He just stepped down from that role within the past year. He has a following over 250,000 entrepreneurs. And he is going to be the keynote speaker at my event in January. And again, I'll give you more details on that at the end. He has a book called The Compound Effect. If you've never read it, it's a very good book to get right now and begin reading, because what he talks about, and I wholeheartedly agree because I've built 2 businesses this way, is you have to be consistent. Businesses, you guys, 6- and 7-figure businesses aren't built in great big surprise leaps all of a sudden. They are built in daily, consistent, intentional, income-producing activity. Consistency is the hardest part for an entrepreneur to get, especially if we from a background of corporate or a job where we are told what time to show up and when to clock in and when our vacation is. It becomes a whole new game plan when we are now working for ourselves, and it becomes a discipline habit that needs to be developed, right? So I want to seriously ask you guys, do you have a quantitative number, and are you staying consistent in their business? Because that's a key test of whether you are operating a business or you are operating a hobby. And don't be in denial about this, you guys. This is where you really have to face yourself and say, oh, yeah, wow, I really need to step up my game a little bit. And it's okay to do that. All right, letter C. This is another biggie. You need to create a community of people that you are around on a regular basis who are beyond where you are at now. So one of the things that I do, and I will do in depth at my next January, is I get people to talk, to get real about who they are spending their time with most of the time. You guys, time is a non-negotiable, right? We only have 24/7 hands a day. None of us can mess with that. We try it, but if it doesn't work. So what happens is what we try to do is spend our time with people who we are comfortable with, instead of spending most of our time with people who are already where we want to be. And so what I challenge people to do is if you kind of looked at your life like a movie theater or a Broadway theater, and you're standing on the stage and you're looking out in the audience and there are seats. And let's say there's only 10 seats in each row. The front row is your front row of game-changing people, you guys. These are the people that are movers and shakers. They have an amazing circle of influence. They are rocking their business. They grow every single year, above and beyond. They stay very focused. They are always positive, and they are your biggest champions and your cheerleaders. They are the ones that when you are with them, they see you at your greatness, they expect your greatness, and they want to help you get there. The only people who should be in that front row, you guys, and these are the people that you're spending the most amount of time with, are those 9s and 10s in your life. Now, the problem is that sometimes we've got people, especially people that we've had a lot of history with. Sometimes, unfortunately, it's people that we are blood related or married to, and it's hard sometimes, if they are not those 9s and 10s, to put boundaries around how much we listen to the advice or the negativity that they are throwing our way. The best thing you can do for yourself right now, you guys, is evaluate who you've been spending the most amount of time with this year. And this is not a judgment on the person themselves. I'm sure they are all lovely people and we love them. But we have to, as business owners, look at, are they those people that are going to help me get to the next level? And if they're not, they probably need to be maybe moved to the middle section of the theater where you spend some time with them here and there. And it's all lovely and great, but they aren't getting the most amount of your time and your energy, and most especially your emotion. The biggest thing I want to ask yourself when you look at that front row is, are you that person? So when you make a description of what those people should look like in your front row, the very first thing you have to ask yourself is, are you being that? Because the next question most people ask me is, okay, I'm willing to put some new people in my front row. How do I find them and how do I put them there? The very first thing I'm going to tell you is you have to be that person to attract them. There is very much a law of attraction and energy in the world, you guys, and you get what you put out. And whatever you are, whatever your personality, your energy, your words are, you will get and attract that right to you. So, it's very hard to kind of look in the mirror and go, oh my gosh, okay, I really need to step up my game. Am I a 9 or 10 for somebody else? The best compliment that I get is when people tell me that I am in their front row. That means a lot to me. All right, so focus, operate your business like a business, create a new community of people if you need to. You guys make such a difference. I'm going to tell you, most people, when they really work on this, for a while, weeks and months later, come back to me and say, I want you to know the biggest thing you did for me is helped me move some people around in my front row, and it's changed everything. All right. Letter U. You need to utilize your resources wisely. And you've got resources of time, of emotion, and of income, and they are all limited. The biggest thing you need to do as an entrepreneur that wants to run a business as a business is use those resources, realize how to utilize the resources wisely. I think the hardest thing for an entrepreneur to understand, especially again if we come from having a paycheck and stepping into creating and running a business, is that the very first thing we have to do is make the right decisions with our time and money. And more times than not, especially the people who come into coaching with me through my year-long mastermind program, they have made some unbelievably big mistakes with time and money from the beginning. And it's not that they aren't smart people, it's just that they haven't been told what are the best ways to use their time and money. None of us learned this in elementary school, high school, and very few of us, our colleges have taught us this. So what we have to understand, number one, you guys, is that you always have to invest to go up. You're never going to get to a point in your business where you should not be spending at least 10% of your income first on investing to go up. And it's really hard for entrepreneurs to get that because a lot of mindsets they have is that I know I need to make the investments, but I can't make the investments until I have the money. I wish I could tell you guys that it works in that order, but it does not. It's backwards thinking. It's always where you got to invest to go up. And I know that's really hard because sometimes the investments that you need to make, the money is not laying around in the bank. If it was, you probably wouldn't need to invest to take the business to the next level. And I would tell you this, you guys, even if I wasn't an entrepreneurial coach, the very first thing you have to invest in, if you don't have one, is a business coach. Somebody who has gone before you, has succeeded, knows what they're doing, and can tell you these are the steps and the right moves with your time and money right now. Because a lot of times what we're doing are the right things at the wrong time in the business. There's very few entrepreneurs that I see that, number one, put a quantitative measure down on paper, and then they're able to put a timeline around what it's going to look like every 90 days so that they think, the goal is to increase your income every 90 days, you guys. And one of the things to do with that 90-day increment is to reinvest into the next thing that you need to get off your plate. So many of us, I'm putting a little side note here, are wearing way too many hats in our business. And the biggest thing that you can learn to do, you guys, and I will talk a lot about this at my event in January, is understand what the one thing is that you do best and do that 90% of your time. Most entrepreneurs, what they're doing is wearing too many hats and doing too many tasks that are not their genius zone. And it is really slowing your business and your income down. So you've got to get real about what is your genius zone. And you will know what it is because when you do it, you get clients. That's your genius zone. And being able to stay there most of the time. So that means utilizing resources and delegating and getting things off your plate sooner than later. Right? Biggest thing I've done in both of my businesses, you guys, is I've asked for help. I know I don't know what I don't know, if I said that right. I've always asked for help. I've always reached out to people who were where I wanted to be and either picked their brain or hired them. The biggest leap I took in my business when I created Infinite Nation, you guys, was the biggest investment that I made was in my business coach. And it was not money I had sitting in the bank. I had to create it so that I could hire her. And it was the best investment I made because it took my business in 90 days to the next level because she helped me clear through the mud. All right, so invest yourself, invest in your business, and here's why. If you don't invest in yourself, you guys, why would your clients? Ask yourself that. if you're asking people to invest in you and they're not, there may be a correlation that you're probably not investing in yourself to go up. All right, last letter, letter F. And this one's my favorite. And this is my genius zone. Is got to start with a crystal clear, written in living, breathing color on paper, vision for your life and your business. This is how I started coaching and how Infinite Nation was created 5 years ago, you guys. So 5 years ago, I decided that it was time for me to spread my wings outside of Arvon. My youngest had just gone off to college, and so my husband and I have become empty nesters. And I had always wanted to be a speaker and a coach. And so I started doing workshops with people on the one thing that I saw when the people in my Arvon team would do this, make the biggest difference in their life and in their business. And the others who did not, which was 97% of the population, really struggled and most of them quit. And so I started working with people, getting their vision down on paper. Most times when I ask people, do you have a clear vision of what you want your life to look like? They give me, again, kind of a wishy-washy answer. They tell me yes, but then I ask them, the next question is, do you have a written vision statement 3 years from today in living color, I mean detail, you guys, that you can show me on paper? And this, again, is where we separate the men and the boys. Most people cannot do that. So in 1988, you guys, I was challenged. When I first started thinking about becoming an entrepreneur, my first mentor said to me, you need to sit down and get really clear on what you want your life to look like. And so I took a day off from work, and with a yellow legal pad of paper, because this was 1988, there was no iPad, no, internet, all that. I wrote in detail on several pages everything I wanted my life to look like if I were to create this magic life. Things like what I wanted my marriage to look like, my relationship with my husband, who our friends were, what we did with our friends, how we spent our time, if we traveled, where we traveled to, how many times a year we traveled. I also wrote some pages on what kind of a mother I wanted to be, the values I wanted to instill in them, and how I spent my time with my kids. And I literally wrote several pages, you guys, noodling some ideas of becoming an entrepreneur. At that moment, I had not one thing in our mind at that point, and had no idea. Really, I noodled a lot of different ideas. But the very last thing that I wrote on the last piece of paper was that someday I wanted to be a speaker and a coach on vision building and goal setting. You guys, that vision statement, and I still have it, I carry it with me, and I show it to people at my events. When I wrote that on paper, the how started showing up. And most people, what they do is they never write the vision because they wait for the how first. Again, it's cart before the horse thing. If you are one of those people that you need to have a plotted out how-to plan, you guys, without a vision, you're working backwards. You need to have a vision that is so clear, it is in writing, in detail. And here's the 3 biggest reasons I will tell you for that. And again, at my event, I spend an entire day expanding on this, and you actually get it in writing. Number 1 is that your vision becomes the anchor in all the storms that you will go through as an entrepreneur. There are so many days you will want to quit. And if I were standing in front of you live and asked you to raise your hand, if you've ever thought about quitting, probably 100% of the hands would go up. We all have things, you guys, where we wonder, why in the world did I start this thing? And I'm going to tell you honestly, several days in Arvon where I wanted to quit. We call them kit burning days in Arvon, where we just wanted to light a match to our starter kit, and we'd never heard of the company. So many days where I thought, oh my gosh, this is too hard. Too much rejection, too many people quitting, too much personal growth on my end. I think the biggest reason most entrepreneurs, you guys, don't get up over the 6-figure income is between 0 to 6 figures is a lot of personal growth. It's painful. And I had a lot of that. But the thing that kept me going, that got me up every single morning, was that my vision was bigger than any storm that I was hitting. And I'm going to tell you honestly, you guys, the more you go up in your business, the bigger the walls get. So your vision has to be huge. The other reason you need a vision is that it gives you, again, a compass to keep checking your direction also those decisions you are making every day, you guys. Where to spend your time, where to spend your money, how to line up your business plan, how to stay focused. When you have a really clear vision, you are able to make decisions a lot faster because you're able to look at the thing that you're about to make a yes or no decision on and determine whether it's lining up with the vision. And if it's not, you don't do it. It gives you a gauge, and it also helps you get your business plan, your quantitative, metric-based business plan on paper. But here's the biggest reason for vision, is if you ever struggle with getting down or feeling like, okay, this is just too much, and you lose your vision, it is very easy to lose hope. And probably bigger than any reason I do what I do is for that. Because people right now are really struggling with that. And so when you have a vision that is so big, anytime you get to a point where you just want to throw it in and you get to any sort of point in your life where you are feeling, in despair, your vision will help you keep going. All right? So just to recap, F is for focus and for getting all the past, flushing out all the wishy-washy stuff. Leave it here. It's not serving you. O is to determine whether you are running a hobby or you're running a quantitative, income-producing, intentional, daily, consistent business. There is a difference. All right. C is making sure that you have created a community of people who are around you that are taking you beyond where you are right now. U is to make sure that you're utilizing your resources wisely. Invest to go up, you guys. It never works the other way around. And S, of course, is my favorite. You have to start with having a very crystal clear written vision on paper. All right? I hope that you guys got some aha moments, and I promise I will go back to some stories in just a second so I can answer your question and any other questions you guys have at this moment. But I wanted to tell you a little bit about the event that I have coming up in January and some bonuses that I'm offering you today. I have a huge event that I do every year in the month of January because January is the month that everybody's setting their intentions for the year. It's called Vision is Victory, which is my tagline. And you can find more information on my website, which is just infinitenation.com. It's a 2-day event that I do, and I spend a big bulk of that 2-day event getting people to write their vision on paper. You walk out with a workbook, you guys, with a very clear, never-before vision on paper. We also talk more about what's keeping you really stuck and how to get rid of it. And this is where the stories come in, by the way, you guys. We talk a lot about what stories are. So stories are those things that you are telling yourself that are real for you because of past experiences, or things that your lovely tribe has put into your life as to what you now have accepted that is real for you. So a story might be something along the line of, like, for example, with me doing network marketing, the story that was going on inside my head forever and ever was, okay, those things are just, they work for everybody else, but they don't work for me. I will never succeed in this. This is kind of hooey. And when I started learning about stories, you guys, I realized that story has been passed down to me from my tribe of lovely people who would never understand being an entrepreneur, and that all you had to do was get rid of that trash talk going on in your head so that you could move forward. So I started getting rid of any stories that had been passed down to me and stories that had happened to me because of experience. That's what I mean by stories. So a big part of what I do at my event is talk about that and talk about how to exchange them and how to get rid of them, because we all have them. We also talk about how to take your big vision and break it down into bite-sized goals, because most people can get a very big vision in front of them and get unbelievably overwhelmed and get stuck. And so the next thing we have to do is take that big vision and break it down into bite-sized, doable. You walk out the door knowing exactly what to do, especially for the first 90 days. This year, I'm bringing in, as I mentioned earlier, my keynote speaker is Darren Hardy. And again, if you aren't aware of who Darren Hardy is, please Google him today and start doing his, follow him. He does a Darren Daily that you get for free. You can get in your email every day. Darren is big stuff. And he's going to come in and do a talk on that Friday, the first day, for 90 minutes on being insanely productive. Most especially, he'll talk about focus and getting rid of distractions. Huge stuff. At this event, I also leave a lot of time for networking, meeting some amazing people, hoping that you will fill your front row and create a whole new community with other people that are coming to this thing to make 2017 rock. It's an amazing 2-day event, you guys. So, here's what's happening. If you go to my website right now and you see the ticket price, what you see is that the price is $4.99 for one ticket.
It's 11 o'clock.
Or it's $6.99 for two. It's a much better deal if you sign up with a buddy. So you get a little bit of a discount for doing the buddy ticket, and it's also a whole lot of more impactful experience when you bring somebody with you that is fired up like you are to go to the next level. But here's what's happening. Kelly, because she is now helping me share this information with you guys, share this event with you guys, she has been given a code to share with everybody in her network. And when you get the code from Gelly, it takes $200 off the price of either the single ticket or the buddy ticket. So even a better deal. All right? So what you're going to want to do is email Gelly or me right after this call. And I'm sure you have Gelly's email, but I'll have her give it to you in a minute. But my email is Carey, C-A-R-E-Y, at Carey, Conley, CONLEY.com. And one of us will send you the code so that you can enter it. Now, here's the next thing. Most people will think to wait. They're thinking, oh, my gosh, I got plenty of time. January 20th, right around the corner. I don't know about you guys, but January 20th is going to be here tomorrow. So instead of waiting to think, well, I'm just not sure, I'm going to wait it out, see what happens, I'm going to tell you two things. One, the price is going to go up on the ticket pretty soon, so you don't want to wait. And the second thing I want to tell you is if you email me by end of tomorrow and get registered, get the code and get registered, I'm going to bonus you a 2-hour virtual business strategy call that I'm going to do with everybody who's registered for the event by the end of the year. So you'll want to, again, email either me or Gelly right now so that you can get the code, get registered, and once I know you're registered, you will start getting an email from me as to when that virtual business strategy call is going to be. All right? So I hope that this call was beneficial for all of you. I have enjoyed doing it. Again, I apologize so much that I was not able to put the screen in front of you. But I promised you that I would be as engaging as possible, and I hope you took great notes. So we have a couple of minutes left for any questions or comments. I love it when people give me, most especially I love it when people say to me, oh my gosh, you gave me a big aha moment that hit me right between the eyes, and it's made all the difference being on this call today. Is anyone going to share an aha moment or have a question? I know everybody's kind of muted out. What state?
Hey, Carey. I was going to Carey, this is Gelly. I was going to jump in. Yeah, I think everyone is muted out. But every time I listen to you, I always have a great takeaway, and something that I was saying earlier on the call before you logged on, and when I was thinking out my promotional emails, what I love about, because you always have the vision, you push people to have this big vision that's detailed, but then also, how do you actually start cleaning up the junk around yourself and really and put it in bite-sized pieces, and I think that's what's key right there, because a lot of us, especially, small business owners, entrepreneurs, it is so difficult to stay focused. I mean, absolutely difficult, because life is coming at you. There's relationships, whether they're business or personal, but so many things that's time-consuming. How do you actually stay on task and focus on the growth and the money-making activities? And that's what I love, is that you actually give people bite-sized tools and like a roadmap of how to actually start taking steps to achieve that.
Right. Is the gentleman who was on the line that told me he was going to record for me still on?
Yes, if I can find. Yes, I am. And I did record it, and I will send it to you in about 1 minute.
You are my hero. What is your name?
Steve Thomas. Hello.
Okay, Steve. I'm going to send you a big fat bonus for this. Thank you.
I do have a quick suggestion. I read the 4-Hour Work Week again about the 5th time, and Timothy Ferriss said that you can eliminate 75% of what you do in your life. And I didn't believe him, but I've gotten to the point to where I've eliminated 85% of what I do in my life. And you can imagine the focus that happens when you're putting 85% of your heat on one little tiny area, and I'm having amazing results. So it's very difficult, but try to find a way to eliminate 75% like he does. He even...
Steve, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead. That's all right.
You are going to love Darren Hardy then, because what Darren shares is the biggest things that he has learned from interviewing the billionaires of the world, the Richard Branson, the Elon Musk, the people who are just have, income galore and also amazing lives. Because those guys will tell you that the reason they can do that is because they know the one thing they are to do, and they stay only on that one thing.
Correct.
They don't try and do even 3 things.
Richard Branson. I've listened to 3 books by Richard Branson lately in audiobooks, which would be do you know about overdrive.com? So it's a free access app to all the library books, emails, and videos. And I'm able to ride a bike about 6 miles listening to a book. And Richard Branson has dyslexia. And he can't remember anything, but he said that he was able to make a big macro decision, and that was the only thing he could do. So he paid other people to do everything else, except for make that one macro decision. So I thought that was kind of interesting and massive focus. Yeah.
The guys at Apple, and again, Darren Hardy will share a lot of amazing statistics and what he's learned from the billionaires of the world. And, what he's learned is that most companies like Apple, their whole intention in the company is that they set a focus and they stay on that one thing until that one thing has achieved the target. And the hard thing with entrepreneurs is that we're creative beings. We get a lot of really great ideas. The wrong thing is that we try and implement them all at once.
Well, I had an priority system with about 175 A1s, about 140 A2s, and right on down the line. Guess what I have right now? I have 2 things to do only today. Can you imagine how difficult that is? That is so difficult.
Yes, it is.
I can't even tell you how difficult it is. Yeah.
I understand because I've been working on that all year because I've been working with Darren all year. So thank you for sharing that. And again, Steve, thank you so much for sharing the recording for me.
Sure.
I appreciate it.
By the way,
Great to have it.
I made about $16 million in 1 year, and I only closed 5 transactions. So you don't have to shoot for the world. It's just a few. Just a few. So you're only going to do about 5 things next year, just 3 big major events, trip around the world, blah blah blah. You only need to do 5 things a year. Okay, well, good luck. Thank you. I'll send you the email in a minute.
Thank you so much.
And that was a great job.
Again, thank everyone. So before I hang up, Gelly's still on the line. I'm sure everybody has your email. Do you want to share it with them real quick?
Yeah, sure. It's Gelly, G-E-L-I-E, at networkingphoenix.com. And it's, if anybody, gets emails from me, which I'm sure everybody on the call has got an email from me, they can always just respond to that and come straight to me. So, awesome. And I've already gotten a couple of emails from people wanting our code, Gelly, so I'm super excited.
Yep. Thank you, everyone. Again, I apologize for the technical difficulties at the beginning, but it all worked out just fine like it normally does. And I appreciate your time and your interest this morning. And no matter what, I hope that any part of what I said helps you in your life and your business today. Have a great day and happy holidays.
Thank you, everyone. Thanks, Carey. Bye.
Thank you.